5 to 6 children in every classroom have difficulty reading, and this difficulty could become a huge stumbling block in later life. But what do we really know about dyslexia, and what should you do if you're worried that you or your child is affected by this? Join us today for our discussion on Women's AM about dyslexia. Bismillah, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Women's AM. It's the daily lifestyle show for you women out there. Today we have many tantalising morsels purely for your enjoyment. We kick off the show, as always, with some interesting features and news stories. Then we'll be discussing an issue that affects more than 6 million people in the UK. Dyslexia is the topic of our discussion in Her Views. And finally, we have some great products that the panel will be running their critical eyes over in Her Review. So a lot to get through, so to help me to navigate through that, I have my lovely panellists with me this morning. I'm joined by Nazia and Hassana. Good morning, sisters. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are we this morning?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Yeah? You know, this morning it was so cold and I was just dreaming about those summer holidays and thinking about the planning that goes into it, and it got me thinking about, you know, how we approach the whole holiday thing. Are you a planner? Are you a, you know, tour guide kind of person? Do you buy a tour guide for the country, or do you just dive in and try and become one with the locals? So, Nazia, what's your approach?
I have to have my travel guide.
Really?
I'm sorry, I refuse to. If I know I'm going to be travelling, I have to have the travel guide.
Yeah.
Because I think it is so useful. It's such a useful thing to have, and really gives you tips about the places that you can visit, the things that you can see.
Yeah.
It's very comprehensive. It even gives you the full details on hotels, and it's just like everything you need to know about that country, it's there.
Is there?
It's all there in that one book. So I actually personally find it quite useful.
No, absolutely. It's very true. Good point. Hassana, what about you? Shaking your head.
Total opposite. You know, generally in life I'm quite organised. I like writing things down, having my to-do list and knowing exactly what I want to do. But when it comes to holidays, that just goes out the window, and I don't want to look at a tour guide. I just, okay, let me get there and see how it goes, and then, you know, maybe I'll plan something, maybe I won't. This is very kind of, you know, let's go with the flow type of approach with holidays. So complete opposite to Sister Nazia there. But, you know, we'll go on the occasional website and just kind of check out the reviews of a particular hotel or an excursion or something like that. But aside from that, no, just take it easy.
Just go with the flow.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sometimes the unplanned things can work out actually really good, can't they? And there's some fantastic websites on offer as well. I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle of you two. I'm not so much of a planner with holidays, but I do like to go places where I know people, or, you know, people recommend things or something like that. It's always quite nice to visit a country if you know somebody that's living there, because then you get kind of a, you know, quite a different perspective.
You get more insight, isn't it, to the things that even local people enjoy that may not actually appear within travel guides, because that's one useful thing, actually,
No, absolutely. Well, that's tantalised our desire for a holiday, I think. Inshallah. Jazakallah, sisters. So let's move on to our first segment of today. We're going to go straight to News Bites. In this segment, the sisters take us through a selection of articles that caught their attention this morning. So, sisters, what articles have you got for us today?
I've got one here from the Daily Mail, and it's The Cara Effect. Plastic Surgery Clinic reports soar in eyebrow transplant inquiries as women strive to emulate model. So this is a story about how more and more women are turning to get eyebrow transplants due to the kind of rise in popularity of this famous supermodel. Her name's Cara Delevingne. And her most prominent feature is her thicker eyebrows.
Right.
So what's happening is that ladies have seen this on the catwalk, and new statistics have shown that inquiries into eyebrow transplants have actually risen by 45% since 2010. So the procedure costs around £1,500, and it's basically, you know, quite a detailed procedure into how to make your eyebrows thicker. I don't know, for me this is just such a bizarre story, and when I was reading it I was thinking, hang on, wasn't the trend to have thinner eyebrows?
I was just about to say
about 5 years ago. So it's almost like you can't keep up with these trends, you know. eyebrows. In one day it's thick eyebrows, the next day it's thin eyebrows. So it just seems quite bizarre. There's this increasing fixation on you know, how we look and fitting into the latest trends. And it's, you know, it's quite a fickle thing, and it's unfortunate that some women are having to feel like they have to go to these measures because, you know, it's quite a pressurized environment to be in society. And you know, I think there's a really famous book called The Beauty Myth, and the writer Naomi Wolf, she talks about this, and she says cosmetic surgery processes the bodies of women-made women who make up the vast majority of its patient pool into man-made women. And I think that just sums it up completely, this whole idea of cosmetic surgery. And it brings me back to this whole idea of how Islam views this, and the fact that, you know, in Islam it's not about how you look or what, you know, whether you have thick eyebrows or thin eyebrows or what colour you are or how tall you are, whatever it is. It's about what's in your heart and the qualities that you possess and the way that you are as a person. So Abu Hurairah reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Verily Allah does not look to your faces and your wealth, but He looks to your heart and to your deeds." So it just shows that really internal character is very, very important in our faith, and that's something that we should really hold on to and treasure, because that's something that doesn't, you know, it doesn't go away.
No, it's true. And I think it's a really, it's a sad indictment of our society, really, that people are going to be so affected by, you know, this one person that they're going to want, you know, to copy a piece or have a piece of this person, what they represent, their lifestyle, whatever it may be, that they're going to go to these huge lengths. And, you know, as you said, it's a fairly evasive procedure, and it is obviously on your face, so if anything goes wrong, then...
And often it does. You do hear stories of operations that have not gone quite the way that people have wanted.
It's quite a lot of money as well. £1,500 you know, for an eyebrow procedure. That's quite you know, a substantial amount.
Well, it is, it is a lot of money, and you know, again, I know we've talked about it before on the show, but it's just this kind of, for me, this distasteful thing of industries that make money on the back of, you know,
women's self-esteem.
Women, but men as well sometimes.
But it's objectifying them as well, and you're beginning to view women from the eyes of other people who shouldn't quite honestly be deciding, you know. And I mean, that quote just sums it up for me, the fact that these women are, they're almost like being manufactured to be in a certain way, and I don't understand how, what does that do to the self-esteem of a person,
absolutely.
You know? And we're all affected by it, you know, it kind of, you know, you do see these images out there and it does affect your self-esteem, there's no doubt about it.
No, absolutely. So, interesting story there, Jazakallah khair. Nazia, you, anything caught your eye this morning?
Yes. Taken from the Independent, the Irish Independent. The headline reads, "Lifting the Veil on Irish Islam." So, with 500 Irish citizens converting to Islam every year, according to the census, 2011 census, 48,130 is the recorded number of Muslims in Ireland, and it's the fastest growing religion there, and it's expected to reach to the figures of 100,000 by 2020. So this is an interesting article. Basically, it's an interview that's been conducted by Maggie Armstrong, and she looks at the lives of 4 Irish people, and basically just charting their whole journey. And it's really interesting because it's a very heartwarming thing to read for once, about in terms of how how the everyday Muslim is, and what's lovely to read about it is the fact that, you know, we know statistically, you know, we often hear it that, you know, the fastest growing amongst the figures is women. So some of the, what she's actually interviewed here is a few women and their journey. And what I love is, like, there's one sister, Sister Aisha, and her quote, when she was asked in terms of what's the biggest change that she experienced, she said, "The one big change is wearing the hijab. I wear it because it's a sign of my devotion to God. It shows humility with my husband and with the male members of my family. And for me, my beauty is my hair and my body, and that's not for everyone." So she's kind of like, she kind of points to the fact that, look, you know, we're living in a society, there's a lot of pressures there. And so for her, it was a really liberating fact that she actually felt, actually, you know, I don't have, you know, not having to conform to those kind of expectations was a huge thing for her. And, you know, it's quite interesting because obviously it's kind of charting the whole experience of what's actually happening in Ireland. There is a shift in terms of, you know, obviously it's a Catholic, you know, the numbers of people that are attending Mass is falling. And I think there's this real the need to look for that spiritual connection, and
absolutely.
people are finding that with Islam.
Story as well, in contrast to Hassana's first article of the morning. So jazakallah khair for that. Hassana, what else have you got for us?
I've got another one here from Trade Arabia, and it's 6 Female Entrepreneurs Win Award. So this is basically the University of Dubai and the City Group. They honoured 6 female entrepreneurs with the Best Business Plan Awards recently. I think it's fantastic to see female businesswomen up there, you know, demonstrating their business acumen and their skills, and actually being acknowledged for it. However, the situation isn't completely representative by these award ceremonies. You know, there was an article, a blog in the Financial Times about Muslim women in business, and Shaista Gohir, she runs her own business, she's here from the UK. She says that most Muslim women aren't actually in the business field, and that they work as activists or in other kind of related industries. And I think this could be because women might face barriers when it comes to business, and it's unfortunate really when we think about our rich Islamic history and our heritage. And you know, we note the fact that the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, Khadija radiallahu anha, she was a very, very prominent businesswoman, and you know, she was the one who employed the Prophet ﷺ to actually manage her caravans. And you know, it was said that her wealth actually equaled the wealth of all of the Quraysh tribes. So when you think about that, it's such a great example of how to be a businesswoman. And I think that's something that Muslim women can look up to.
No, absolutely, and hopefully, inshallah, encourage more women to kind of take that road, inshallah. Nazia, your next story.
The next one's taken from The Independent. Eating disorders soar amongst teens, and social media is to blame. So Childline says it's received more than 10,500 calls and online inquiries from young people struggling with food weight-related anxieties. And one of the factors that the charity is attributing to is the rise of social media. I mean, it's interesting because obviously we've discussed the whole issue in terms of the pressures that are upon young people. But, you know, I was looking at it from the angle of this whole issue of social media specifically. And I think one of the things that struck me in the actual article was the fact that social media is there 24/7. It has an implication upon people's lives. And even if you look at the way that it functions, a lot of emphasis is placed upon you having as many friends as possible on this. So what happens is, I mean, if you can just imagine the kind of information that's floating around, and at the level at 24/7, what are they talking about? Who are these friends? Who are these companions? And what is it that the pressures that they are facing as a result of it? And I think that's a reflection of it. When you have constant images of celebrities, constant images of what young people are doing from day to day, and it's there 24/7, it will impact upon how a person feels. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true, and it's something that, you know, we have to be aware of and inshallah keep an eye on. With Jazakallah Khair, sisters, a fantastic and interesting selection of stories as always, mashallah. We're off now for a quick break, but before we do, just a reminder of this week's competition question. We are giving away some fantastic prizes. We have a booklet of stickers, my Salah and Wudu colouring book, the A to Z colouring book of Islam, and my Juz Amma tree chart, all by Muslim stickers. So for all the mothers out there that want to get their hands on these great goodies for the kids and get them motivated in a creative way, all you have to do is answer the following question. Which name of Allah means the Creator? Is it A, Al-Khaliq? Is it B, Al-Razaq? Or is it C, Al-Alim? To enter, email your answer A, B or C to womensam@islamchannel.tv along with your name, address and what you most like about Women's AM. The deadline for entries is Friday the 31st of January 2014 at 4 p.m. All applicants need to be over 18 and residing in the UK, and please note only one entry per person per household. A winner will be randomly selected from all correct entries, and the winner's name will be announced on Monday's show, inshallah. So don't miss out, sisters, there's some great prizes up for grabs. After the break, we'll be back with her views to discuss dyslexia, an issue that I'm sure many of you have been affected by in some way. See you shortly. Assalamu alaikum.